Think what a great thing it is to be a part of something that is the team. The team, the team, the team.
Hi, in this video we are going to talk about pitching. And the first step in getting ready to pitch is we have to get a proper grip on the ball. So let's talk about that. There are 3 different grips I'm going to teach our pitchers this year. And during the first few weeks of the practice season, I want them to try out all 3 of them. And after a few weeks, pick which one they feel the most comfortable with, that they feel like they can have the most success with. The first grip is your most basic grip. It's called a 4-seam grip. And it generally, if used successfully, allows the ball to travel the most straight. For a 4-seam grip, we want the ball, the seams on the ball to form a C. Think of it as C for correct. Take our fingers. If you can use 3, great. If you need 4, that's okay. Put the fingertips on the top of the C. And on the other side of the ball, our thumb will be on the bottom of the seams. So it should be fingertips, thumb. And you want to try to line your thumb up with your middle finger. Or if you need 4 fingers, you just line the thumb up between the 2. And you hold it. Should come to about the base of your fingers. Nice and soft, kind of like an egg that you don't want to break. You never want to squeeze the ball or feel like it's in there too tightly. And as we release the ball, when we're pitching, it's going to roll off our fingers. Our wrist is going to snap straight up. When you think of throwing overhand, your wrist flicks down. And that creates spin and extra speed on the ball. We want that. Now, it doesn't feel as natural when you're doing it underhand, but we have to try to develop that little wrist flick up with the 4-seam grip. The next grip we're going to talk about is called a 2-seam grip. And that we're going to grip across this narrow part, this narrow space between the seams. So you get something that looks like a U, you just turn it to the narrow part. We get our fingertips on the top part of the seams here, above this narrow part. And there's no one correct way to do it. It's really how comfortable you feel. You just want to make sure that you feel a good grip with your middle finger to where you can push off, because that's probably your middle finger is going to be the last one to leave the ball and put spin on the ball. So whatever you're comfortable with, just make sure that at minimum your middle finger is on the seams. I kind of like to have all 3 touching the seams. Your thumb, you have a couple options. You can put your thumb on this side of the seams to get a little bit extra grip, or you can put it in the middle. You're not going to have quite as much grip and quite as much control, but you'll probably get more movement on the ball. And the great thing about the 2-seam grip is it will create a little more movement on the ball, a little more sink, could make it a little more difficult on the hitter. And it's the same way, you're just going to let it roll off and snap up, flick up with your wrist. The last grip is actually my favorite, but it's the most difficult to master. It's called a corkscrew grip. So we want the seams facing in basically an upside down horseshoe, an upside down U. So this would be a U. So we'll turn that upside down. I'm going to put our middle finger completely on this seam. If you're a right-handed pitcher, it'll be the right side seam. The thumb is going to go on the opposite. Let's see if we can see that. So middle finger here, thumb on the opposite. And your fingers should rest here, kind of like a fork, with the middle being the seams. And what is, to me, very exciting about this pitch, but the most challenging, is when we release it, we're going to snap like we're turning a doorknob. As we release, it's like turning a doorknob, but we've got the ball in our hand. And it's going to create this almost like reverse football kind of spin. It's actually the easiest way to get extra spin on the ball. And also, I found that the corkscrew grip probably creates the most speed overall because you're getting an excellent wrist snap. It's much more natural for us to feel like we're turning a doorknob than it is for us to just flick our hand straight up. You can feel a lot more tension in the wrist with this than with this. So I definitely want everyone to experiment with that. Like I said, this is the hardest grip to master, but I want everyone to try it. If you can master it, you'll find it's incredibly effective. It puts immense spin on the ball, sometimes some extra movement, a lot of times extra speed. So we've got the 4-seam grip, the 2-seam grip, and the corkscrew grip. Now we're ready to pitch. So we've got the ball. We're in the pitcher's circle. We're standing behind the pitcher's plate. This is sometimes called the pitching rubber as well. It's that rectangular strip in the pitcher's circle. So we're in the circle, behind the pitcher's plate. All the action is stopped if there are any base runners that are standing on their base. The pitcher is now in charge. Nothing's going to happen until she delivers a pitch. So we're ready. We're going to step onto the pitcher's plate. Our throwing side foot is going to be on the pitcher's plate, just our heel on the pitcher's plate. The front part of our foot, starting with the ball of our foot and our toes, that's going to be on the ground to help us push forward. By the ball of our foot, I mean that big bone that's like behind the big toe in front of the arch of your foot. So that part's going to be on the dirt in front of the pitcher's plate. Our other foot also needs to be on the pitcher's plate, and we can just have our toes on the pitcher's plate and our heel behind the pitcher's plate. So we'll have one in front of the other. We want them about shoulder width apart to give us really nice balance. So I'll show that again, stepping onto the pitcher's plate. Then we need to bring our hands together in this position with the glove about chest high. This is called the set position. By rule, we have to hold this for at least a second, but following that rule is no problem because this is when we're going to get our grip. And we're all going to practice getting our grip without looking at the ball. We'll practice getting it by feel. Right now, I just got a 4-seam grip without even looking at it. So I've got a 4-seam grip, I'm in my set position. As we begin, we're going to begin our pitch with what's commonly known as a racing dive. We'll just call it, to keep it short, we'll call it a dive. So I'm set, and the dive is going to be the separation of the hands, and we'll drop both of those hands behind our body. We'll lean forward a little bit. The reason we're going to lean forward is because we want to get some energy and momentum into our next move, which is going to be an aggressive step forward, which I lovingly call the zombie step. So we're set, we dive. Both hands back simultaneously, a nice symmetrical motion to get ourselves ready to dive into the pool, so to speak. Set, which is when you get your grip. I just got my grip again without even looking at it. Dive. Then we take a zombie step. And I call it a zombie step because it's incredibly important that as you're going to take a really aggressive step forward, that your palms are down. If you step with your palm up, not only are you going to struggle delivering an effective pitch, you're going to strain your arm. And if you do this enough, you're going to hurt it. Just feel the difference in tension. Palm down, palm up. There's so much more tension in here that we do not want. We want palms down in that joking zombie walk. Okay? Set. Dive. And in our zombie step, we're going to point our glove right at our catcher. It's going to keep this part of our body nice and on line with our target. If this glove is flopping around, we might be prone to going off target. Another thing, having the glove up, it's going to put us in a really strong fielding position. We don't want to be caught where we've just delivered a pitch and our glove is down here and someone hits the ball back at us really hard, we want to be able to finish like this so we're able to feel. So I'll go back to the beginning. I'm behind the pitcher's plate, ball in my glove, step onto the pitcher's plate properly. I set, I get my grip, I dive, I zombie step. Very aggressive step forward. And the zombie step is also, it's actually the start of your pitching motion, because once you're back here with your dive, the speed of the ball is going to be determined with how fast do I bring this arm around. And what starts as a zombie step is actually your delivery. It's actually your windmill circle. So once you're here, this is when your pitch starts. You're building up arm speed. Now, speed is great. Accuracy is even more important. A slower strike is always better than a faster ball. But if you can master both, speed and accuracy, awesome. Those are fantastic results. But our top priority is accuracy. Set, dive, zombie, and I'm sorry, I can't do this as well on a carpet as I could on dirt. But you're going to take that aggressive step forward with your zombie step. And as you're stepping, you're going to rotate your body. You're going to find you need to, because if you if you stay straight, you're going to realize, oh, my arm does not go any further back. So we're going to just naturally rotate our hips. We call this opening up our hips. We need to do that to continue with our arm circle. The glove will still be pointing. We'll come around and we'll finish. We'll release the ball near our hip. And then the follow through, like I said, on a 4-seam, our wrist will snap up a little bit. Also on the 2-seam, a corkscrew would be more of the doorknob turning snap. And the finish, as far as your hand, it's really whatever feels natural. You're going to be generating a lot of speed. Your arm's going to want to continue going forward. Let it go forward as far as feels natural. A lot of pitchers will even finish up here, which is fine. I mean, where you finish has really very little to do with the accuracy of the pitch. The accuracy of the pitch is going to be based on where you let go of the ball. And then finish with whatever feels natural and eases some of that tension and force on your arm. With your throwing foot, when you take that big zombie step, which is nice because it generates a lot of energy and force toward the plate, which is going to add some speed for you. But also, you're much closer to the plate, and it makes it feel like that distance you have to throw is even shorter. But we're going to turn this foot over, your throwing foot, and we're going to drag it, because we are not allowed to pick up this foot until we've let go of the ball. So we want to get in the habit of dragging that foot and then finishing in a strong fielding position. Some pitchers, when they throw the ball, their pitching foot will drag behind them. That's okay. It's not ideal because it does leave you off balance for a moment. But I realize the reason so many pitchers do that is it's to get their hips out of the way so they can throw the ball. It's just a kind of a natural thing your body does. The key is once you do that and you let go of the ball, as quickly as possible, you want to get your foot over in this position. When I pitch, I drag my foot all the way into that position just to make sure I don't lift up my foot too early. And you don't want it, so you don't, after you pitch, you don't want to just be standing in this position. You're off balance, you're very vulnerable. You just want to make sure if your drag foot goes behind you like that, take that quick step, keep your glove here so you're ready to field if someone hits the ball back at you quickly. So I think I have to do this in slow motion because of the carpet. But starting from behind the rubber, step onto it, get my grip without even looking at the ball in my set position, I dive, I get a nice knee bend so I can push really hard off of my pitching leg, my throwing side leg. So I can push really hard and far. I'm going to bring the glove up. I'm going to be really well spread out, and then I'll have to rotate the hips and shoulders. I'm going to drag the toe, release the ball, and as I'm releasing the ball, the glove will naturally pull into your chest. We don't want it flailing down here. That's going to cause accuracy problems and leave us vulnerable as a fielder. And you'll finish in this position, ready to field the ball. Those are the basics of pitching. We're going to practice pitching a lot. Anybody who wants to pitch, I want to give you the best chance to pitch possible. So I'm going to let you show me how you're developing as a pitcher in almost every practice. And anyone who can show that they can pitch accurately, consistently, you'll get a chance to pitch in a game. It's going to be a lot of fun.